fables and sounds of the Nigerian stories. Àrọ́bá ní bàbá ìtàn. Ọmọdé ò bá tàn, á bá àrọ́bá. Nigerian Folktales.
After she had left, the priest laughed wickedly and said,
"Ignorant woman! When the time is right, I shall enchant her daughter, and she shall fall in love with me. I shall be that one to be chosen."
No wonder he transformed into Hassan 19 years later and bewitched Maimuna so that she was attracted to him like moth to flame. As for beautiful Habiba, she returned as expected to collect her portion from the priest. She also had to agree to a condition attached to the promise given to her. Unknown to her, the native priest had inflicted the baby boy in her womb with a rare form of affliction. This was an inevitable occurrence, considering that the magical process he engaged in swapping the baby boy was weightier. Therefore, Habiba's only son grew up having some defects in him, even as a man. Back in the forest, after the snake had transformed into an older-looking man, the native priest, Maimuna began to wonder who exactly she was married to. So she pleaded with him, saying,
"Please tell me, who exactly are you? What is my offense that you have decided to punish me in this manner?"
Just then, he burst out in evil laughter and replied,
"I am Mesihiri, the great sorcerer, and you are now mine, for your mother had betrothed you to me from her womb by virtue of the covenant she made with me 19 years ago."
In tears, Maimuna blurted out her disbelief.
"My mother betrothed me to you? How so? Why? Why would she do this to me? Why?"
Her cries fell on deaf ears as he called his slave a monkey to attend to his new bride. This monkey was no ordinary monkey, for it could communicate eloquently in human language. It became Maimuna's only companion as she lived in the forest, especially on days the Mesihiri wasn't around. One day, Maimuna asked the monkey how it was possible for it to communicate in human language and how it came to serve the Mesihiri as master. It sighed deeply and said,
"I am simply paying for my sins. I was once a human being myself before I was turned into a monkey, and over the years I have had to repent time and again, regretting my past evil deeds. If only I hadn't been wicked to my twin brother. If only I hadn't allowed greed, jealousy, and hatred overwhelm my soul. Oh, how I wish I could turn back the hands of time, but it's impossible. I only pray for forgiveness now.
Even as he reflected on the past events in his life, he said,
My name is Bala.
My name is
Maimuna.
Bala completed her sentence for her, to her surprise.
Yes, I know your name. Moreover, I know who you are. I have known you since you were a child.
How's that even possible?
She said, almost as a whisper. Seeing her confused expression, Bala felt the need to explain certain things to her.
You see, I have worked with Mesihiri for a very long time now, even before you were born.
He began to tell her.
Your mother
And so
came to
he
the
went on to tell her how her mother had come to the Mesihiri desperately seeking a baby girl, and how he had used his knowledge of magic in achieving what she desired. He also told her how the magician, who came to be known as a native priest, had a special means of monitoring her since she was born to the point she was old enough to be married. And finally, how he had changed into a young, handsome man, casting a spell on Maimuna so she could fall helplessly in love with him, then choose to marry him.
Ya Allah! So I was enchanted.
Maimuna exclaimed as she considered Bala's words.
And now I'm done for.
She concluded as tears streamed down her cheeks. It was then she understood what the Mesihiri meant when he declared that her own mother had betrothed her to him.
No, you're not.
Bala declared.
There is a way out.
Bala had proposed in his heart to help Maimuna from the first day she arrived at the forest, for he felt that she shouldn't have to suffer for her mother's mistakes. He had been with the Mesihiri long enough to know his secrets and tricks, so he told Maimuna how she could escape.
There is a pot containing some magical potions the Mesihiri drinks from every 3 days. I have tried to break this pot on numerous occasions to no avail. The day he caught me trying to break this pot, he simply laughed and told me that the pot could only be broken by a female virgin. Therefore, there was no way I could ever succeed in breaking it. I have always suspected the contents of this pot to be the source of his magical powers. If you break it, then you shall be free to escape.
But how will I find this pot?
Maimuna asked.
Just follow me and I'll take you to where it's being kept. However, we must hurry so you can break it before he returns by evening.
And so he took her to a tree very close to the river bank. In a flash, he climbed up into the tree and appeared some minutes later bearing the pot in his hands. He handed it over to Maimuna and instructed her to smash it immediately. She did as bidden, and in that instant, Bala was transformed into a human being. Apparently, the spell of being in his monkey form could only be broken the day he will genuinely help a human being. Of course, this condition was known by Mesihiri, but he didn't tell Bala about it because he wanted Bala to be his slave forever. From where he was seated in his shrine, the Mesihiri was struck to death by thunder and lightning. Somehow, Maimuna found her way back to the village, and so did Bala to his village. On getting home, Danjuma broke the news of Halima's death to Maimuna.
It's unfortunate that your mother passed on some days ago. She had mourned your departure for days from that day you got married to Hassan. She starved herself for days till she fell terribly ill. Her last words were that Allah should have mercy and make a way of escape for her daughter. She had confided in me after he left that day that because of the covenant, she had no hope of seeing you again. If only she had listened to me.
Maimuna later narrated to her father all she had gone through in the forest and how she was able to escape. Even after knowing what her mother had done, she was sad about her mother's death regardless. She was later married off to one of the young men in the village, and her father strongly advised the new couple to be contented with the children God will give to them. Finally,